The Azure Pavilion was a palace of gastronomy, featuring white marble tables and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the skyline. Beatrix, a woman who commanded a 9-figure corporate empire, sat at the center table. She was dressed in a stunning yellow-tailored power suit, her gold luxury watch catching the afternoon light as she reviewed a deep navy leather portfolio. Vance, a waiter who prided himself on serving only the old-money regulars, approached with a sneer. He wore his bold red server's vest like a badge of exclusion. Beside him was Sloane, the floor manager, her face a mask of cold disdain as she looked at Beatrix's unauthorized presence at the VIP table. Vance's face contorted into a realistic, unmasked expression of aggressive rage. He viewed Beatrix as an intruder in his curated world of luxury. His nostrils flared and a pulsing vein began to throb at his neck as he slammed a heavy glass of red wine onto the table, the liquid sloshing over the side. "We have a dress code here, and urban brights don't fit the aesthetic," Vance hissed, his voice echoing through the quiet room. "My aesthetic is irrelevant, Vance. I have a reservation, and I expect the 1945 reserve I ordered," Beatrix replied, her voice a calm, lethal deep navy frequency. She stepped back defensively as she began to stand, but Vance blocked her path immediately. Vance's aggression turned physical in a heartbeat. He lunged forward and delivered a heavy-handed, aggressive shove to Beatrix's shoulder, slamming her back into the velvet chair with such force the table rattled. "You're not drinking our best wine. You're leaving," Vance snarled, his face showing anatomical micro-expressions of fury. His brow furrowed into deep ridges and his eyes widening in anger. In a final, unmasked display of hatred, Vance grabbed a full bottle of red wine and violently poured the entire contents directly onto Beatrix's yellow power suit. The deep crimson liquid soaked into bright yellow fabric, a jarring, ugly stain of aggression. Vance then grabbed Beatrix by the lapel of her wine-soaked yellow jacket and pinned her against a chair, while Sloane stood by, laughing as she signaled security to remove the mess. The witnesses, Sterling and Maya, stood by the bar, their phones raised to capture the raw, unmasked fury on Vance's face as he physically manhandled a woman. "You're nothing but a stain on this restaurant," Vance hissed, his nostrils flaring. Beatrix looked at the red wine dripping from her yellow sleeve, and then up at the security cameras. "Vance," she whispered, "you just poured $900 million down the drain. Check your tablet. The owner just arrived." The high-ceilinged dining room of the Azure Pavilion became a tomb of absolute silence, save for the rhythmic, heavy breathing of Vance. He maintained his physical pen, his fingers white-knuckled as he twisted the yellow silk lapel of Beatrix's power suit, holding her down in the velvet chair. Vance's unmasked face was a portrait of raw, unchecked aggressive rage. The veins in his neck pulsed with a toxic high, and his nostrils flared as he stared at the carnage he created. The deep crimson wine continued to drip from a yellow fabric onto the white marble floor, looking like a spreading wound. Sloane stood over them, her bold red-trimmed blazer sharp against the white walls. Her face twisted in a smug sneer as she prepared to call the police to finish the job. "Look at you," Vance hissed, his face contorting with anatomical micro-expressions of fury, his brow furrowing into deep ridges and his eyes widening in anger. "You thought you could just walk in here and buy status? You're nothing but a distraction to my real clients. Now, are you going to crawl out of here, or do I have to drag you through the lobby so everyone can see the mess you've made?" Beatrix didn't flinch. She slowly raised her head, her eyes burning with a calm, lethal, deep navy fire. With her free hand, she reached into the pocket of her wine-soaked yellow jacket and pulled out a gold-stamped corporate ID and her deep navy master smartphone. She didn't call the authorities. She entered a 12-digit executive override code. "The only distraction in this room, Vance, is your employment record," Beatrix said, her voice a low, vibrating frequency that made the crystal glasses on the tables hum. Suddenly, every digital wine list and reservation tab in the pavilion, the tools Vance used to gatekeep the elite, flickered to a solid royal blue screen. A second later, they roared to life with a bold, extreme close-up video of the last 3 minutes. The entire global board of the $900 million Pavilion Group, currently on a quarterly video call, watched in horror as the screens displayed Vance's snarling face and anatomical micro-expressions of fury as he threw the wine and physically assaulted the woman who sat at the head of their board. Vance's grip on the yellow lapel went limp. His face turned a sickly, translucent shade of gray as he looked up at the monitors and saw his own career being dismantled in 4K resolution. The mottled red patches on his skin faded into a hollow, trembling mass of terror as the realization hit. He hadn't just insulted a guest. He had assaulted the source of his existence. The heavy oak doors burst open. A team of executive auditors and private security in deep Navy tactical suits with yellow, owner detail lettering swarmed the floor. Sterling in his gold silk blazer and Maya in her silver designer dress stepped forward, their phones broadcasting the total liquidation of Vance's life to the city's culinary elite. Vance and Sloan, the chief legal officer announced, his voice cold and final. You didn't just violate the dress code, you violated the criminal code. As of this second, the Pavilion Group is exercising its zero-tolerance clause. You are terminated. Your pensions are frozen pending a civil suit for damages, and you are banned from every property under this $900 million umbrella. Beatrix stood up, straightening her yellow power suit, the red wine stain now looking like a royal sash of victory. She stepped into Vance's personal space, her gold luxury watch catching the light. You told me I didn't fit the aesthetic of my own restaurant, Vance. The truth is, you're the one who's out of place. Your justice debt starts now. Vance, in a state of aggressive panic, tried to stumble back toward the kitchen. He was instantly intercepted. Two security officers firmly grabbed Vance by his arms, twisting him behind his back in a brutal, bone-deep lock. They forced him to his knees on the very spot where the wine had pooled on the white marble. Sloan was grabbed by her bold red blazer and slammed against the bar. Liquidate their status, Beatrix commanded. The security team ripped the bold red vest from Vance's chest and the red-trimmed blazer from Sloan's shoulders, tossing them into a green trash bin. They physically dragged Vance and Sloan to the center of the dining room, their shoes squeaking as a crowd of elite diners jeered and filmed the disgrace. They were dragged out the front doors and left in the rain. Beatrix looked at the chief legal officer. Close the pavilion for the week. I want a complete audit of every manager in this region. If they breathe like Vance, they're gone. She checked her gold watch. And send the cleaning bill for this suit to Vance's mother's house. I want him to remember this stain for the rest of his life. The power was destroyed. The truth was revealed. And the villain was liquidated.